Hey guys, I'm Laurie and welcome back to the Diaries of the Neurospicy Coach. So today I'm going to be covering me having PDO threads and the link between the things that have happened to me through a neurodivergent brain. So I promise you it'll all be relevant. I am due on my menstrual cycle, so I've got notes here just in case I forget something because your gal struggles to speak what I'm due on. I'm due on in 2 days. So just in case you see me looking back and forth my notes here, it's just so I don't start waffling, right? So the story about my PDO threads, if nobody knows what that is essentially a facelift which isn't surgically done, so you can go to like any aesthetic nurse and sort of have it done essentially, and the little like threads that go anywhere in your face. So I had like 3 points, I think it's called. So I had mine in my jaw, near my cheek, and somewhere else, God knows where. And the reason why I had that was because I was feeling really insecure. But at the time, I didn't think it was because I was feeling insecure. I just thought, oh, I really want it. Like my aesthetic nurse at the time was like, oh, it'd be amazing. It puts like collagen into your skin. It'll make you feel confident and things like that. So I was like, oh my God, yeah, gonna have that. And at the time, I had come back from Dubai because the person I was seeing at that time had an affair, and I basically got stranded in Dubai on my own, honestly. Got right there. So yeah, I decided to come back. I was feeling really insecure with myself. It was the first time I'd been back in Wales for a few years, so I was just feeling really like embarrassed almost, just weren't, I've gone from moving to Kent, doing really well, moving to Dubai, and then obviously moving back home. I just felt really rubbish within myself. So I thought, right, okay, what can I have done to make myself feel better? And I think we all know that, eating comfort foods or getting stuff done isn't actually going to help you heal. It might make you feel better in that moment, but essentially it doesn't. And really, what's meant to happen then is it's meant to like dissolve in your face. I think it's like 3 to 6 months. And I remember just like poking through my cheek. So I was like, I don't think that's normal. So I went back to the aesthetic nurse, and essentially it hadn't dissolved. So she was like, oh, it will dissolve, like it's fine, it's very normal, blah, 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 blah. And obviously I started prep. So as I become leaner, I just see poking out my face, like here, like in my jaw and near like my, what's this called? Cheekbone. Near my cheekbone. And I thought, okay, this is not right. By this point it'd been like a year. So I was just like, right, okay, this is not right at all. And I went back, and they essentially put another thread on top of the other thread, which obviously now I look back at it, and that definitely shouldn't have happened. Do you know what I mean? So I did it because obviously you trust these people. Do you know what I mean? These are the professionals. So that's what I did. And it's now been 3 years and they still haven't dissolved. It's been number of different hospital appointments, number of different back and forth. Because basically when I did message the practitioner then, they weren't a nurse, and I never, if you're going to go and get your lips or whatever done, go to an actual nurse, guys, honestly. They basically called me back in to remove it. Now, this was horrendous. I was there for an hour and a half, and essentially the only way I can describe it is like they're like really long tweezers, and they basically make a hole in my face, go into my face, and try to get the thread out. And all I could feel like almost like it was like hitting the thread, but they couldn't. Every time they pulled it, just come out of the little, well, it's not little, it was freaking very large plucker in my face. Having that done, honestly, it was traumatic. It was really traumatic. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, like reality hit. Oh my God, these are not coming out. This is what I'm left with now. And I just remember being so scared. And I weren't scared before that because I was like, I'll just have them removed. It's fine. They told me that they've removed loads before, so it's absolutely fine. And a few months later, probably a few months ago actually, I went to a surgeon through the NHS. I didn't really want to go to the NHS because I was embarrassed. I thought, well, I've done this to myself. Like, there's people dying in the world. This surgeon sees like cancer patients and stuff. And I just felt really embarrassed. But it's actually going through like a court case because of how they treated me. It was horrendous. So I had to get support through like medical team essentially, and he said to me, you want to count your lucky stars that they didn't remove it, because it's basically gone through a nerve, and if they did remove it, you would have ended up with cerebral palsy, because essentially if it damaged that nerve, it's, don't quote me on this, but it's like connected to the brain, so my full right side would have just become paralysed. And it just hit me then, because I just thought, wow, I made this decision just on impulse of how I was feeling in that time. And I think that being neurodivergent, it's not just that, it's everything we do in life. Do you know what I mean? We are so impulsive and we don't think things through. And essentially, like, I'm sat here now, obviously you can't really notice it. I try not to think about it too much. You could see it in my wedding photos. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people have pointed out and asked if it's a mole, which is great. Definitely don't want freaking like 6 moles on my face, but you know. But it just made me realise that we make these decisions based on how we're feeling, and we're very impulsive, but we don't actually look at it. Like, I'm very lucky now to be sat here with not having cerebral palsy. Like, that would have changed my whole entire life. Like, I wouldn't have been able to speak properly. It would have, everything, like my competing journey, what I wanted to go on stage, with half my face paralysed, like, I probably wouldn't have been able to do my job properly, because how do I do check-ins? And it's just like that reality hit me when I realised the consequences of my actions, and it was all because I felt really insecure in myself. And it's just a bit like, you know, and as I said, like, with the embarrassment side of things, the first thing they said to me was, did you go to Turkey? And I was like, no, I didn't. I went to Whitstable, which is like Kent. And that's the thing, like, they're seeing an influx of people now making really crappy decisions based on how people feel in that very moment in time. And I know we speak about like body dysmorphia, but I absolutely had face dysmorphia. And to be honest, I probably still do, because I'm always looking at things to, you know, to have done. And I notice it's usually my luteal phase. So it's just about having awareness as well, because in my luteal phase, I started tracking how I was feeling, because every luteal phase that I have, I always felt like an imposter with my business. I always questioned if I was like a good enough coach. Was I doing enough? But I also would rip myself apart as well. And I didn't know there was a pattern in it, honestly. Like, I didn't be like, it was only until I think Ben said to me, like, you were like this last time you do on. And I was like, no, I weren't. I was said this to you last week. He was like, no, I'm sure it was when you do on last time. And I was just like, oh wow, do you know what I mean? So just being self-aware as well, because like, as I said, usually in my luteal phase, I pick myself apart. But as I said, going to the NHS, I never felt so embarrassed in my life. Just getting support over something I did to myself. And I'm lucky that the first doctor I went to was really nice, like really understanding. He was like, look, it's not your fault. Like, you've been told this procedure is safe, and you know, you should trust that. Do you know what I mean? But then I saw another doctor and he wasn't so nice. And like, I remember just crying my eyes out, because I'm like, look, I am well aware that I've done this to myself. You'll have to mind Theo kicking off in the background. I'm very aware that I've done this to myself, but if I knew I couldn't have it removed, I wouldn't have done that. Do you know what I mean? And then what else did I go through? The years of trauma. So this is another thing. So obviously, yes, I had those threads because of what I went through. Like, obviously getting cheated on, stranded in Dubai on my own, had all my life in freaking suitcases, and I didn't know anyone out there essentially. Is also based on the traumas that come from childhood. So I got bullied in school. I didn't have a good time in college. I never fitted in, ever. Like, I felt like I masked a lot. And I think we have these things done, not because we actually want it, but because we convince ourselves, like, okay, if I have this, I'll be prettier. If I have this, like, if I'm prettier, I'll fit in and people will like me. And it's just really sad. Because I know before I started bodybuilding, the reason why I loved bodybuilding was, I remember thinking to myself, okay, I can't change my face, but I can change my body. And even though like that served me and helped me with confidence and things like that, it's actually so sad that I had that thought process at the age of like, I think I was like 22 or 23. Like, I'm so young, do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, you just start thinking, oh, it's just me, it's a character flaw, but actually it's not, it's the whole life that you've had before that. And I think a lot of women don't actually realise that. And when I say the word trauma, I think people think it has to be really, really bad, like, oh, you have to be beaten, you have to be abused. It's not. It's honestly not. Like, if, for example, your parents, for example, don't say to you, wow, you look amazing, you look stunning, do you know what I mean? That honestly plays a massive part of how you feel about yourself, you know, in the future. Like I always say to Ben jokingly, our dogs are the most confident dogs in the freaking world, because I tell them how beautiful they are all the time. But it's like little things like that go a long way. And then obviously if you've had like abusive relationships and stuff, and they've said really unkind things to you, but you've stuck around for a few months or even years, you start believing those things as well. And then you start picking things at your face that actually don't even exist. And like if you ask someone, they'd be like, honestly, like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then you almost get a little bit annoyed, because you're just like, yeah, it is, it's here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've recently had CO2 laser done, which by all means was the best thing ever for me. Like, I had acne, scarring, and some sun, like, age spots. But if I asked anyone else, like, could they notice it? No one have ever noticed it. Only me. Do you know what I mean? So I think when, you know, and as I said, I'm not really confident. I'm not a really super confident person. I may come across that, but I definitely am not. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, oh, you know, self-love, I love myself completely and I'm really confident. I'm not. I'm on the journey to be in that. But there's still some insecurities that I battle with. And I think, you know, yes, I've had therapy, but you've got to understand, if you've had trauma for years and years and years of your life, you're not going to undo that in 1 year or 2 years. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be something that you work on like day in, day out, all of the time. Do you know what I mean? So insecurities are still there, but I always hear horror stories where people have crazy stuff done, and it's like no actual, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like no sane person would go and have these mad things done unless they were completely insecure about themselves. So I'm all for have whatever you want done. Like, I've had breast surgery because I used to have double A cups, but why did I have it? I was bullied for it. Do you know what I mean? If I weren't bullied for it, would I have wanted to have my breasts done? Probably not. Probably not. Like, I remember like my friends used to take the piss out of me for it, because a double A is like a child. It's the small, like, I couldn't even get bras because, let's be honest, a double A doesn't need a support essentially. But you find like everything in life that you do or want and things like that usually stem from something. And what else did I write on here? And obviously being neurodivergent, we're impulsive, so I've obviously covered that just now. But it's true, like, one of the things that I massively learned from having these PDO threads done was I was so impulsive. Like, I didn't bother to research, you know, what actually is it, because I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue what it was. Like, I didn't take the time to fully like research what it was, how it works, can I have it removed, because you can't have it removed. Like, why these practitioners actually try to take up my face is bizarre, because you're not meant to. You have to get them surgically removed. But I didn't take the time to do that. I just fully trusted in the person because they offered it and it was legal. But it just made me now more wiser, because when, you know, things come on the market, which they always do, guys, like, let's be honest, like lip filler, like that wasn't there when we were young. Do you know what I mean? People are getting like bones removed in their waist to have a smaller waist. Like, there's just mad shit that you can get done now. And people who are insecure are usually, and being neurodivergent, we are more impulsive. We don't look at like, okay, what's the side effects of this? Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if I actually sat there and someone said to me, right, you can have these PDO threads. Yes, you might have an amazing lift, which by the way, I definitely did not. Like, it was good for probably like 2 weeks, but then it settles. Yeah, you can have these done. It's going to boost your collagen, but if something goes wrong, we can't remove them. If it goes through a nerve, you might have cerebral palsy, your face might be paralysed. Would have I added in? No, because I've stopped and someone said to me, like, these are the side effects. Do you know what I mean? And you can't always trust, especially like some aesthetic people. They're there to make money. Do you know what I mean? Essentially, like, you might get the odd really nice ones. Like, my new practitioner now does my Botox and stuff. She's lush, but she's a nurse. So she does tell me, she's like, look, you got loads of different things in your face. Like, I would never offer this because of X, Y, and Z. it makes me think that people who are not medically trained, I might get some backlash off this, but this is just my personal opinion, they are not medically trained in that way as a nurse would be. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to do this podcast because I know, especially a lot of my clients, they are insecure, you know, and we always tell ourselves like, if I get this weight, I'm going to be happy. If I get my boobs done, I'm going to be happy. If I build my glutes up, I'm going to be happy. But then you reach that goalpost, and then guess what? Another one appears, and then another one appears. Like you will never be happy. And it all comes from mind, and that's why I do coach mindset. And people always think, I don't need that. I don't need that. But if you're constantly chasing a look or something, you aren't truly happy inside, and you've got some insecurities there, and those insecurities might come from past trauma or things that have happened. Do you know what I mean? But you wouldn't actually know that until I've obviously just said that. And you're like, oh, actually, why do I want this then? Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to bring that one out there because, as I said, I've made really crappy decisions in my life based on vanity, because that's what it is. And I know it doesn't come from a thing of like, I want this done because everyone's going to think I'm so pretty and things like that, because usually when you're neurodivergent, you do just want to blur into the background. But it's for people not to judge us for looking a certain way. You know, like I've had my teeth done as well. Didn't choose to have my teeth done, by the way. They got smashed out when I was little with a pool ball. But it's like loads of people are going to have their teeth done now, but it's just a bit like, but why? Do you know what I mean? But, you know, you look at it like you have to keep having your teeth done, but people don't even bother to look at that. Like they don't think, right, okay, in 10 years time, can I still go to Turkey? Will they still be there? Like people don't look at those sort of things. Like even with my boobs now, it's been almost 10 years since I've had it. And I recently found out that some of my gut issues that I'm having could be related because of my breast implants, because they are 10 years old. And it's a bit like, oh shit, like now I'm going through all these issues. Of course it's not confirmed yet, but I have to go and have a scan done. But it's just wild that we put in like foreign bodies into us, and we don't look or research of like what is the health issues or side effects that is going to come with this, you know. And as I said, like right now with my gut issues, we don't know if my inflammation is coming from either my threads or my breasts. And I look at it now, I'm like, fuck's sake, why did I have these things done? And again, it came from not feeling secure in myself, or not being happy, because I've always been told that, you know, you're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, you're too much, you're too this, you know, you won't be loved, X, Y, and Z, being abused. Like all those years of build up have come to me now, looking in the mirror and being like, oh, I need this done, not happy with this. And you just pick yourself apart, and it's just really sad. So I hope I brought some awareness. I haven't gone too deep into the PDO threads of, you know, everything, because it is going through a court case, which is not fun. It's very stressful. But yeah, I hope I spread awareness with this podcast. And if you do have any questions on it, please let me know.